Yeah, so the entry point for the SRE when they are on call, it's always an alert. This alert is created by the Prometheus Alert Manager. That's normally how it's set up. And then these alerts, when the rule is broken, it creates an email, or it creates some kind of SMS notification or a call, which should be answered almost immediately. So during my SRE shadow, I received quite a few alerts. As you can see, I tried not to delete, I deleted a few of them, but as you can see, in one day, you can receive around 10 to 20 alerts that are low priority. This seems to be a kind of a flaky metric. And then high priority alerts, I receive around 1 per day. And usually when a system is failing, we don't just get one alert, you get several alerts of several things that are failing, but they are mostly all symptoms of the same underlying issue. So an alert looks in PagerDuty, looks a little bit like this.
So just a question,
Mhm.
you're not getting duplicated alert, like each line is a single alert, and if it's a
Right.
problem that is keep happening, you won't receive like the following alert, another one.
You might, because there are different rules. So not for the same rule, but let's say if there's a slowdown in the general service, and there is a slowdown in one part of the system, you would get two alerts, and they normally come like one right after the other. And maybe I can show you. There are a few that come, yeah, trigger. You can see here, three trigger incidents. So these are three different probably related incidents that happen at the same time. Often it's part of the SRE's kind of job, kind of to know if things could be related or not. So these two are related. Ping them, check for this, and then this pingdom is also is basically the same incident, but there's another one that is something else, and it might be related, it might be unrelated, it might be that it's happening at the same time or not. So you kind of have to know a little bit the architecture of the system to know which if you're dealing with two different alerts or with one alert, one underlying
But the
issue.
fact, yeah, but the fact that they come in like in a single group, like you saw three alerts in a single group, this is something that is configured, right? This is something that happens
Sure.
automatically.
This is something that I received from PagerDuty, but there's not. I think they simply do it so that it doesn't trigger too many emails. But I don't think there is something super clever of grouping different alerts. They just happen to be at the same time, so then they send you in the same email.
I know that there are some solutions today in the market, and when you're getting like some sort of an alert storm, so they can add like a cause and symptoms. So they are like grouping all of the
Mm-hmm.
incident in like a single incident. So, okay, this is your cause, and
Mm-hmm.
the rest is just noise. Those are all just symptoms.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. So they could be yeah, I guess they could be grouped, but as far as I saw, there was no like specific grouping. It's just the alerts are set up in a way that if it happens for more than a few minutes, then they will notify you. But there's not like a. I don't think GitLab is at the level that with the alerts they can group them symptoms and causes, because this is evolving, and also just the fact that this is already many alerts are being ignored by the system because there are many more incidents that are not reported here, such as these low urgency alerts. You don't get a call all the time. It's already an improvement from let's say that the flow that was there before. So I think it could be an evolution of what's already there.
Okay, can you open one incident?
Yeah.
And see what are the.
So so an incident comes if the incident is triggered by Prometheus Alert Manager, which is the main way in which we receive alerts. Then the alert manager will send you some information about what metric was acting up, and then you will also get. So what I saw mostly was being used was the graph of Prometheus. So this alert is not firing anymore, so we might not see data, but let's try to execute. Yeah, so there are no data points found, but I can try to increase the time window depending on when this was triggered. Oh, is it already so long? Ah, yeah, it's loading. I didn't see. This might take a while. I might want to pick another alert, another incident. Oh yeah, here you go. It's a bit strange because we don't see the lines. We should see some lines, which are typically the data that is overpassing the alert level. There might be something better. Let me just try and find one. Let's see. Yeah, this one was interesting. So go, yeah. So this was already. Typically during an incident, the data from the last hour is already useful. Oh, that's not so good. Yeah, this is very fast evolving, so that's why I don't see all the latest data. Yeah, so okay, that was probably the trigger of the alert is this line, and as you can see, it suddenly jumped during the incident. It probably was a smaller window of time that you can see for this data here, and then this is what you can use to try to identify the issue. And then after you see this, then you probably will jump either to Grafana or the related service that is broken, and then you will try to find a solution or mitigate the issue, or you can also report the issue in Slack as a new incident and then create this issue. Yeah, let me see. Yeah, so here I'm starting to find the peak. So during the incident, probably we will see something like this. We will see suddenly this thing is firing. We see it at the end of the chart, and then we have to find the solution. This one happened to be that database was very busy. So then what the SRE team does is they go and check what's going on with the database. They might use Grafana. Not all the SRE team members. I work with 2 of them. One of them was more was depending more on Grafana, and the other one was going more often to Elasticsearch. So once they see this, they probably go to Elasticsearch. They try to find exactly which is the metric that is failing, and try to find logs that are related to that.
So they are using Grafana for metrics and Elasticsearch for logs.
Yeah, the feedback. So the feedback was a little bit that Grafana is changing so often, and it seems to be getting too complicated for usage during an incident. It's not related to Grafana as a tool. It's just the way that it's being used right now. It seems there are too many dashboards to make things easy to find and to navigate to during an incident. Like you have to scroll through several dashboards and trying to find your way. Even if you keep a bookmark of the dashboard that you can depend on, then this dashboard maybe disappeared because somebody did a change, or they changed it, or they removed it, or they changed the URL. So this is something that made, let's say, Grafana a little bit less reliable during an incident. It's probably useful for other things, but during an incident, it's hard to navigate to where you want to go. So maybe doing the drill down, or going from here to the corresponding Grafana chart was something that was difficult. I think some alerting rules have more. So for example, this one doesn't have much information. Some of them have more Grafana related information, and this is depending on how the Grafana the alert manager is set up. I suppose I could try to find it, but it's not something that I saw people were. No, this is dashboards. This is something that I didn't see they were using very often. It was more navigate into Elasticsearch, try to find the right information, and use a little bit more query language to find where it was, while creating, for example, creating a chart during the incident would be too difficult. So that's not something that people would want to do.
Interesting. So so they were just, I mean, those incidents that you investigate with SRE, they mainly relied on logging and Elasticsearch, or did they use the metric capabilities within Elasticsearch? Because Elasticsearch has the, I'm not sure if this is the way our SRE team is working, but Elasticsearch has the capability of collecting metrics as well. So
yeah. So the logging. So if you're like really good with Elasticsearch, you can pinpoint from here. You can kind of pinpoint which kind of events are being triggered, and there's a charting section. I think it's called chart, or either that or just graph, and that lets you visualize the entries for a given according to some filters and some dimensions, and then you can chart exactly what's going on, and then this will help you drill down more to the specific kind of event, like maybe which IPs are creating these kind of jobs, and then you're able to say, maybe it's time to block these IPs because they could be malicious, or they could be overusing our resources. So that this happened a lot during the incidents, like maybe finding the IPs of the attacker or the person that was overusing the thing.
Interesting.
Yeah. So let me see. So I created 4 issues related to things I found. Maybe you have already seen them. So the first one is that because we spent some time navigating the way queries are created here, I started understanding a lot more what are the query results looking like. So then I started reading a little bit more about the documentation of Prometheus to check what kind of information is giving us back. I found that in some charts we're ignoring. So in every chart we can have any number of metrics, and in any chart we can have any number of rows of data, because in all of them we could have a matrix result. So then for this reason we can have in any chart, we could have many occurrences of multiple series that are accompanied by multiple metrics. So we should consider like this kind of expanding the data in our charts. And I checked the code, and I saw that in many occasions we just do very lazy. Very lazy to say, oh, just fetch that first thing you find, and then display that. And I think that's not enough if we want to create a more robust solution. So that's one finding. So that's why I posted this. And I saw like the heat map. The best one is the time series, because the time series shows more stuff, but I still want to check if we are showing both multiple metrics and multiple rows of like series, and the same for the other charts. So I think now we're creating already issues. I'm very happy about that. So it's quite cool. And I hope we can start work this milestone. The other, another aspect of this is when you are dealing with an alert or with a specific metric, you might have a hole in the data, and this is important to know because you could face some kind of shortage or some kind of outage of Prometheus scraping or the source of Prometheus, and then you might be missing data points, and this is important to see. And I think right now what we do is when some data is missing, we simply complete the line. So we go from here to here, even if the data is missing. Maybe I can be more, yeah. If we have this kind of data, what we would do with our charts today would be to simply complete the point until here and assume that doesn't matter because it looks better. So we shouldn't do that. We should always show the holes in data. And there are other more tricky visualizations where we should, like here, this is full of holes, and we kind of have to show that in the chart.
I guess we need to also separate between like a hole in the data, like a missing check. Like we have a missing check. There was a check by Prometheus, it was missed because of issue, network issue, Prometheus was down, versus we got a response, but the response was like 0. So there should be like a separation between like a value of 0 versus a missing check.
If the value was 0, we would see something like this. We would simply see the metric drop to 0. So that's not a problem right now. But it might be that for a series of values, we have long intervals between two values that have no data. And we should be able to know and detect that so that we can display a hole. I think that at the moment.
Yeah. How do we know that? I mean, how do we know that? I mean, I guess we need to put like the right test in place that we are not missing data. It's just like we are sampling it in a rate that is
right.
than the one we are visualizing it.
Right. So we have to consider the rate or the sample rate, and understand if the sample rate is too big or is bigger than a threshold, that we should start adding maybe some empty values or something to convey that the information is missing. So that's something else that we should try to address. Initially, I suspected that we were removing these values. So like this, I was complaining about these lines where we kind of remove undefined values. But I think now that could be something where we have to actually fill out the missing information. So it could be more difficult than I initially thought. Not just removing code, but also add something else to like put the holes in there when something is missing. What else? So so this is something that I think we are both. So I was discussing with Nadia as well. This is something that was super useful during incidents. Was to be able to create a new preview of a metric so that we can send the users from the alert manager from these incidents directly to our dashboards, but without the need of creating a new dashboard or the need to create and save a new visualization. So It could be something like a metrics preview, similar to what Prometheus is doing. You can throw in any query you want. Maybe we even help the person type the right query, or the query comes from the alert, and then this immediately displays a chart. And we could do that inside GitLab. I think it's not that much effort. So already for the panel, for the dashboard panel that we have, we could add a text field or something of the sort, and let the person type, and let the user type the queries, and then we will be able to display something. And maybe select, okay, do you want a time series? Do you want a line chart, or do you want a bar chart, or whatever you want, and then let them see live what they want. And I think this could be useful. Hopefully, if it's fast, it could be useful during an incident. If it's like agile, it lets you check quickly what's going on.
Yeah, I think it's very, yeah, I agree. I think it's very useful. This is also a feedback that we got from the info team about the fact that they are using it. I think in Grafana, they have even like a hotkey. I think it's an X or an E. You click on it and it's like a, it's like a playground for queries, for specific queries. And it actually copied the query to.
One of the team members showed me how it was to add a new chart, and in his opinion, and from what I saw as well, was quite difficult to create a new chart during an incident or when you're in a rush. So Prometheus, this simpler UI, Prometheus does a better job at that. So this is something where we could be a little bit more agile than Grafana.
Why do they think that it's, I mean, why do they experience
so
that?
If in the UI of Grafana, you can add like another axis, and you can select the unit formatting, and you can select the if you want to use the logarithmic scale or the regular scale. You can, so there are very many knobs, and that they are probably very useful for the Grafana use case, because not all the data is coming from Prometheus. But here we've done, Prometheus does something much simpler. Just show the data, show the time, and then show the series. And I think that becomes more useful to create like quickly a visualization and explore what's the status of the system.
That's, I guess it's pending the use case, and it's important to, I think it's important to emphasize in the issue, like what's the use case, because you know, you look at the Prometheus UI and it's very dull. It's just like an API and a chart, and Grafana like has all the bells and whistles, and you assume it's easier to create it. But I guess for when troubleshooting an incident and you quickly just want like to change the query and see how the data looks like, you don't care about all the other noise around that. So I think it's important to like emphasize the use case in the issue, because some would expect, yes, I'd like to have like a preview, but I like, you know, I want to select the chart, I want to select the lines and colors and everything. And this is something that
and I'm not saying, so I think I mentioned this. That there is a design issue for a chart builder, and I think this is already going to happen soon. So the features are very similar. I think there is a lot of overlap, but there is a line where it stops being about exploring the data of the last hour, and it becomes, okay, let's make a complete solution to build a new chart and see how it goes. So I'm talking a lot about the perspective of the SREs, because that's what I was doing. Of course, if
that's what we need. That's what we need.
If there's another use case where you really have to create a complex chart and so on, then of course you need more knobs and more settings.
Yeah, I think it's important. I mean, the difference between like a preview and like a metrics explorer. This is like a metrics explorer. You just explore a metric. I think there is a lot of overlap, but this is where I mentioned like the use case and the user flow is extremely important to better understand. I'm pretty sure if we build one, we can leverage the work that we are doing to build another. but in terms of the UI need to be a bit different. I see the preview for the chart builder will help our user create the right chart for their dashboard. While this issue, which is more like a metric explorer kind of thing, is not for preview, is to explore metrics. So maybe it's important to probably use the right terminology and understand the user flow and why is it different than the preview.
Definitely. And some other details are, once you create a chart here, then it's very easy to go and bookmark it and share it with a colleague or something, and the chart will be repeatable. So that's something that perhaps metric builder would not do. I think as you're adding more and more things, it's not like we are keeping the state on the URL. But in this use case, it becomes very useful to like have this very exact and not this as part of the incident, right? So we already have, I think we are going in the same direction. We are converging to that, but it's a little bit different. So that's why my proposal is here. Let me see if I said anything else that was interesting. Yeah, it's more about the past few hours or days. You're probably not going to explore very old data. I would like that we can switch quickly between different charts, so we can just see, okay, is it a bar chart maybe more useful, or a heat map, or something else. And then after that, probably you maybe want to add a new metric. So after you have explored, then the next step is in a button and say, okay, add this metric to a dashboard, and then you start like a more complex flow where you edit things. And another point that they mentioned to me was that errors, showing the raw Prometheus errors was important, because during an incident, you want to probably see exactly what the API is throwing back at you. I think that's something that we're not doing right now. We just say, hey, there was a problem fetching the metrics, sorry. But sometimes they want to see more details.
So maybe when we are adding, like it can be like when we are saying that there is an error, there is a button like show more or explore more, and we can then just copy the error to the UI. As an MVC, we can just redirect the user to Prometheus maybe, and then we can copy that to.
Yeah. And then,
I think another thing is we need to make sure this view works really, really fast. That's like.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And another, let's say, idea or misconception I had was that I assumed that all Grafana or all charts are always corresponding to alert rules. And I think that's the assumption that we have done in our UI. But that's not necessarily true, as you can see in this case. In this case, the alert manager is sending us something that is a chart that most of the time will not generate any data points. So unless there is an issue, right? Like when I showed you initially, let's say we're here. Oh yeah, no, it doesn't even load anything. So this chart doesn't exist. Is only existing during the incident. So not all the alerts, not for every alert we have a chart.
Interesting, but it's only because they are using like the alert manager in Prometheus.
Right. So that's where this kind of thing comes in handy, because you can kind of create a visualization really quick with a URL, and then just go and navigate to it, and you don't have to put it in a dashboard and version it and do all the other things we do.
Interesting. I think that for us, for now, if you are using like Prometheus as a managed app, you will not be able to set up alerts unless you have a chart. So this is like a
right
misconception that we have built into the product. Well, I mean, there are reasons for doing that, but it's definitely a use case we should explore.
Yeah.
Like, how can you configure alerts? How can you configure? I mean, with external Prometheus, it's easy. You do it through Alert Manager, but with internal Prometheus, you need to first create the visualization, and only then you can create the. We probably need to think about a way to set up alerts on the manager without having the need of creating charts.
Exactly. And this is there could be a dashboard that is only empty data points, and only when there's a problem there's some data coming. So we should allow for having something like this.
Yeah, I think we have an issue for make sure it's possible to create alerts even when there is no data, because I think our intention of doing that was different than their intention, but I think it serves the same point.
Good. Did I write anything else? No. And I really love the Prometheus approach to dates. So let me see. Maybe I didn't take a screenshot. Yeah. So this is simple. Is really nice. Let's say Elastic failed a little bit at this because Elastic's date picker was super complex. This gets the job done really nicely. You want to increase the time window, you can do so. If you want to go back and forward, you can do so, and then you can change the resolution. So in these 3 fields, already Prometheus did a lot of things that are very useful for SREs, and that they would not want to change for a more complex UI. So this is also interesting.
Interesting. So when you click on the arrows, like, so it moves by the time window that you set, like you set 1 hour and it moves like 1 hour, 1 hour. So, if you set like 2 hours, it moves 2 hours.
Yeah. So maybe if let me see if I can manage to. Yeah. So here, here I'm moving back and forth in the.
That's nice.
Data, and let's make it a little bit more. Yeah.
Yeah. This is more for like if you want to troubleshoot like latest time, because if you want to go really back in time and like compare like a week over week or a month over month, then it's less useful.
Yeah, but a week, if you want a week, you can always increase just a bit.
Yeah, you need to increase. Like you need to do it's.
I can get to a week. Yeah, I can get to a week fairly quickly. You don't even, but I noticed that you don't even modify the start time. So you just say, okay, end time, time window, you're good to go. So it's something more simple than what we're doing, and I think it gets the job done. So
something more simple than most vendors. Yeah, most vendors are doing something that's really, we should definitely explore this. I think a lot of the vendors, maybe they're failing, but they have a robust, it's not only Elasticsearch, they have a robust date picker.
I understand why Grafana, would do something like that, because Grafana dashboards can serve so many use cases. But if we want to narrow our use case to SRE, then something like this, it's felt a bit easier for me.
Yeah, and the fact is that we're using Prometheus as our data source only.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So we can definitely think about like cloning this approach, and I know that we have an issue on how to improve this, and this is definitely something that we will make sure design will look at and maybe pick some ideas.
So I created as a allow rewind and forward, but if you think that so this is like an iterative approach, but it still adds something. If you see that it would be better to reduce the amount of buttons that we have, I think we could open another issue and say, we could go a little bit more simple with our date picker.
Yeah, I think that Nadia has the open design issue for improving the time picker, and I think this approach will make it more simple than or complicated.
Yeah, and those are the 4 issues I added from the SRE.
Do you want to create maybe like an epic to tie all those issues together so they will not get lost? Because those are really valuable. I see those as really valuable, and you know, if we won't handle them in this iteration, maybe in the next one, I want to make sure they are grouped by an epic, or I don't know.
So one already turned into an epic, which is the one about keeping all the data. So
no, I'm saying even create like a master epic, like issues from the SRE shadow program,
and then
just
we
add those and group them, and ideally other engineers that will also go to the SRE shadow, they will use this epic maybe to add those issues into the same one instead of just creating epics and putting them in the backlog. Because I really think those are really valuable, and it's important that they will be on our site.
Yeah. Good. So thanks a lot. I'll stop the recording now. I can stop share. I can stop.